guys, today I'm going to be doing the side character tag. This tag was originally created by Sabrina Antonia, and let's get right into it. The first question is, who are your favorite side characters in books, TV, media, whatever? So I picked a couple different stories for this. I really love, recently, Jacob Kowalski in Fantastic Beasts. I just love what his character brings of just like, oh, here's a normal person in his world. Oh wait, no, his world is magical, but he's still not the main character. I thought that was an interesting take on that. Another main character I like is Reepicheep in the Chronicles of Narnia, and I have always loved Reepicheep ever since I was just a little kid. I love how he's just a brave mouse, even though he's just this little guy, and I love his feistiness and the attitude he brings to any situation they're in where he just believes they can overcome, because he's a small person, or mouse, who's overcome so much just to have a standing in his role. Another side character I really like is Molly Weasley. I just love everything about Molly Weasley. I don't even think I need to explain that one. And then the last ones I'm going to mention is basically all the background characters in the Graveyard book, which it's by Neil Gaiman. It revolves around a boy named Nobody who's raised by ghosts in a graveyard. It's so good. And each of the background characters in that book bring a really interesting dynamic to the story, whether it's the other ghosts, and they're like ancient ghosts, so like ancient Celtic people and stuff, so they bring some interesting things there. There's a normal girl in the story who kind of teaches Bod, is what he goes by. Nobody goes by Bod. Who teaches Bod about like the world and like shows him school and stuff, but then her parents kind of freak out because they're like, why are we letting you play in a graveyard? Sorry, that was kind of a spoiler. And the villain is almost a side character in that. I don't really want to give that away, but yes, Graveyard book, Harry Potter, Fantastic Beasts, Narnia characters, love them, especially those I mentioned. The second task, I guess you could say, it's not really a question, is name your side characters in your current work in progress, or WIP. And believe it or not, I've actually got about 4 projects I'm working on right now. One is my book that I've been working on for many years. The other 2 are the sequel or I should say the other 2 sequels to that. I'm kind of working on those all together right now. Editing the first one and writing the rough drafts of the second and third so I can make sure it's all cohesive as a trilogy. But I'll just focus on the side characters in the first book. So there's the Crookston family, which consists of the mom and dad, Helena and Dieter, and then the children are Gloria and Gregor, and they're fantastic. I love them so much. And then there is, I don't know, does a love interest count as a side character? Can someone clarify that for me? Because I'm not sure exactly what side character encompasses and what it excludes. So there's Jasper, and he's like the love interest of the story. And he's pretty cool. There's also Peter, who is Gloria's love interest. And I guess he sort of becomes part of the Crookston family. And then another bunch of side characters in book 1 is there's a small crew, and it consists of a man named Jack, Hank, Tim. What are the other 2's names? Gosh, this is embarrassing. I just spaced on 2 of the names in my first book. Willard. Willard. I love Willard. How did I forget Willard? And then I don't remember the 5th one's name right now. Not because I didn't care about them, because I do care about those characters, but where I am working on books 2 and 3 right now in the writing process, and I'm not actually in my beta reading and fixing up process. I'm not to those chapters yet, so it has been a lot of time since I looked at those chapters, so please don't judge me for forgetting some of my characters' names. I'm so embarrassed. The next question is, which side character is most like you? I had a really hard time answering this because I don't know if any of my side characters are based on me. I actually think that each author bases every character on themselves at least a little bit, and I want to make another video about that some other time. So if I do make that video eventually, I will link it below. I don't know when I'll do that because I have a lot of video ideas I want to get done first. But I mean, I would hope I'm like Gloria, because she is so cool and clever. But, you know, sometimes I'm just sort of not cool or clever. I'm generally pretty awkward, so I don't know. Question 4 is, do you ever base side characters on real-life people? And I'm going to answer this with increasingly so. In my original book, in book 1 of Behanandra, I did not base any characters on like specific people except for 3 random background characters. But in book 2, what happened was I took one of the characters, Gregor, from book 1, and I made him the main character of book 2. And what happened was I put him on a ship, and I gave him a crew of like 22 people. And I was like, oh gosh, I don't want to have to come up with 22 personalities. So I picked personalities of people I know, and just to keep it straight in my head, I gave the characters those actual people's names. There are a few who I knew I wanted to kind of them get into trouble. So those ones I didn't base on anyone, and I gave them made-up names. But everyone else is generally brothers, brothers-in-laws, or my brother's best friends. So, yeah, that happened. But it's really helping me keep everyone straight, like in my head, of who's who on this ship, where suddenly they're thrown together because they were all hired and suddenly it's time to go, which can be, it's a really tricky situation to write. Yeah. Okay, task number 5 is to, oh, sorry, I'm all injured. I fell off the bike into dirt. Task number 5 is to gush about one of your side characters. And I think you're going to guess, if you've been paying attention, who I want to gush about. And that's Gregor. And Gregor is so cool. I just love this kid so much. In the first book, he's 10 years old. And he is just like this feisty, protective of his family, even though he's a little kid guy. And he doesn't really know how to pick his fights at first, and that's kind of an ongoing joke for a little bit. And, but it turns out, because he's a little boy, and I'm going to get into some of my lore in my book, and this is why I just love this character, is because he's a 10-year-old boy, he can get past the mermaids, because the mermaids in my book are scary. They will kill anyone except for little boys, because they want the little boys to grow into men, because mermen don't exist, and breeding, and blah, blah, blah. So he's the only one that can get past these mermaids. And he has to do that because they need to access like this ancient power that they hear about to push the darkness out, and it's this huge thing. And it kind of my husband made fun of me when I wrote it and I read it to him. He goes, "You just took Rivendell and the I will take the ring to Mordor and turned it into like part of this for your book." And I was like, no, I wasn't trying to do that. But what happens is like there's this leader, Taman, and he's like, well, I wouldn't ever send any boy on this task. Like, I couldn't live with myself doing that because I don't know if they would survive, but they would be the most likely to survive. And Gregor's in this meeting because the rest of his family is, and he's just like, am I young enough to go? Like, do you think I can get past? Actually, I should say, am I young enough to go? Do you think I'll get past? Because he still has a high voice. And, like, he volunteers to go on this mission to save the world from darkness at 10 years old, and I just love it. And my book's not actually a middle grade book. The main character is 19, and but the thing is, I feel like I have a character for everyone in that book, age-wise. But I just love Gregor, and I love how brave he is, and kind of how dumb he can be. But he always, like, he's clever. Gregor and Gloria is like a familial trait. They're clever, and so he finds a way, and I just love it. And like, there's points where he just does get to act like a little kid, like when he gets stranded on this island and he just starts crying for his mom, even though he knows she can't come, because he just doesn't know what else to do, and he's getting dehydrated and all of this stuff. And like, even though he is so brave, he is just a kid. He gets into a fight with some other boys in the South Kingdom, and they sort of beat him up, but then he gets through it all right and stuff. But I just love Gregor as a character. That is why I made him the main character of book 2, because the more I wrote, the more I was like, I want to hear a story about this kid. I want to know what he's like when he's 20, 10 years later. And so I wrote an entire plot and arc about him. It's just so great. As far as there being a place where you can learn more about my characters, there is a video I did before, introducing characters and villains. And yes, I did spell villains wrong in that video, and I'm still embarrassed about it. So those videos share about my characters. I do have a DeviantArt, but a lot of the stuff on there is really old and cringy high school stuff. But I do have like concept ideas for the characters on there. I use a lot of doll makers online for that, but yeah. Thanks for watching this video. Feel free to tag yourself. I don't really know who to tag in this video. But yeah, if you're watching this, you're tagged. Go ahead and share about your characters. And if you make a video, leave the link down below, because I'd love to watch. Thank you so much. Be sure to like and subscribe. Bye!